and if you want, probably the best is to look at the lens.
Okay.
I'm rolling.
Okay, start.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I'm a native Philadelphia. I've been living in South Philly. I've been raised in South Philly in foster homes. After foster homes, I wound up coming home and being my own person. I have 3 children, Ronald, Corey, and Reginald. I have been married twice. By the age of 35, I was divorced. I'm also a recovering addict. I've been clean now for 11 years. I am also a nurse. I have a career as a nurse now. I'm a CNA. I'm doing great. I love singing. Mary Wells is one of my favorite singers. And life has been great for me, thank God.
Yes, my name is Anthony Vesper, and I'm currently at the Eagles game against the Tennessee Titans, one of the biggest games of the year. But I want you to introduce some of my club here that we come every week to the Eagles games. Of course, the home games. We got there Mike. Mike is from down the shore. He's about 2 hours from where we're at right now. His famous saying is, hoo-ah, hoo-ah. Give it, Mike. Give it. Hoo-ah, hoo-ah. And to his right is Dave. Dave is one of my sister's boyfriends, actually the sister's boyfriends. He's a Flyers fan. We got him into the Eagles atmosphere, and he's very, very talented man. He could do many things with many other things. And then we got Bob. Bob, he could eat maybe 15, 20 pounds of lunch meat in about an hour. He can eat about 15 pounds of sausage. Let me tell you about this guy. He looks like one of the Chips. You ever see Chips? He's their clone. Then we got to the right of him is Anthony. Anthony's a newcomer.
Tony.
You can see he don't skip many meals. He's one of our biggest fans. He paints his face green and gray. He's got all kinds of stuff going. Then to his right, you can see our little cookery. We got our cast iron barbecue. We got clams and spaghettis. To the right of that, we got pork sandwiches. We got the whole ordeal. And then when we come back from the game, we get a little chili. To the right of that, we got Donovan McNabb, which is my brother, Dominic Vesper Jr. He makes about $150,000 a year, but he don't like to spend that money wisely. He likes to keep it in his pockets. Now, on a serious note, he's my favorite brother.
Your only brother.
He's my favorite brother, and I tell you what, someday he's going to be president. To the right of him is my cousin Joseph Zuccarelli. Joseph Zuccarelli could drink a 30-pack in about 5 minutes. He's a football coach. He's got a young boy that just arrived to us. A very smart individual. To the right of him, we got the cook. That's my father, Don McVesper Sr. He prepares all this food weekly, week in and week out. He's the one that spends many hours on the foods that we have here. To the right of him is Travis. Travis is another newcomer. He's from Tennessee. Came all the way from Tennessee to watch the Eagles because he knows the Tennessee Titans are going to lose. To the right of him is back here, Joe Galera. Joe Galera is a prestigious individual. He's an athletic director at one of the best schools in South Jersey, Washington Township High School. I tell you what, smartest guy we have here. He's intelligent. He's smart. He knows how to hire and fire coaches. Someday I may be his colleague.
That's right.
Then you got me.
He just got his GED.
Once again, I'm Anthony Vesper. I have a beautiful girlfriend that someday I'm going to marry. I'm a baseball, football, and wrestling coach at one of the local schools in the city. I'm currently a college student. In my 6th year, I'm going to be a doctor, hopefully. And I just want to say 2 things. Hope the Eagles win today, and I hope they go to the Super Bowl.
My name's Kate. I was born November 19th, 1976 at Philadelphia Nazareth Hospital. I grew up in Olney till I was 8, and then I moved to Fox Chase, and I grew there the rest of my life. Went to St. Cecily's, then I went to Colonel Doherty. Changed a lot there, drank a lot, had a lot of fun. Grew up too fast, had a baby when I was 19. Had a lot of troubles with my fiance, husband now. Got married November 19th, just came back from Puerto Rico. Now I'm at the Eagles game. There you go, my life story.
My name's Marie Milano, and I'll be 70 next month on February 12th. I went to St. Peter's grade school, and then I went on to Hallahan High School for girls. And from there I started going to Temple. I went to study pre-med at Temple, and I met my husband. And he was always saying, no, you don't have to go to college, you don't have to work, you stay home, take care of the kids, we'll have a family, we'll get married. And eventually it was getting like more and more expensive. I worked 3 part-time jobs while I was going to Temple. And I taught like dancing and at the Murray's at night. And on the weekends I worked at the Morrison nut shop. And it was like a struggle trying to pay all the expenses of college. And eventually I thought, well, no sense even applying to medical school. So Bob and I got married, and I quit Temple. I did 3 years at pre-med. And then Korean War started. They took my husband in the war. And actually, he was in the war when we got married. We had to wait for him to come home on leave. And then we got married. And then I hardly ever saw him. Our first son was born, and he was away. And then eventually we had 6 children, and everything's okay. You know, we liked it all, you know, and it was a good life.
Yeah, I begin by saying I'm 71 years old, and my roots are in the Midwest. I was born in Kansas City, Kansas, which really at that time, having been born 3 days after the stock market crash, that was in 1929, early November 1929, I lived in a house that had no central heating, no indoor plumbing. The bathroom was the outhouse out back. The wood stove in the kitchen provided the primary heating for the house. My grandmother and my grandfather kept chickens. I remember an ordinance was passed at some point when I was quite young that you couldn't keep pigs in the city limits any longer. So it was kind of a rural thing, even though it was so-called Kansas City, Kansas. My parents were working. My father was a long-distance truck driver. My mother was working as a domestic in New York City. We got reunited when I was almost 8 years old, when my mother and father were able to set up a household there in Harlem. And my brother and I, my brother being a little older than myself, moved to New York. And for the first time I realized we were poor, even though for the first time we had electricity and things that I hadn't been familiar with. For the first time, we were able to go to movies, things of that sort. In Kansas, my grandparents had protected us from much of the racial stuff that was probably all around us. We never went to movies. We would have had to sit in the balcony. My grandparents were one generation away from slavery. the Missouri Compromise, and reading about that recently, I realized a little bit about what their life must have been like. In New York, my parents strive to give us a better life, a better education. We're exposed to a lot of things we never would have been in the Midwest. My brother and I used to go to the children's concerts at Carnegie Hall, even though we were these little kids from Harlem who, were really poor. But and the tenements there in New York, you knew you were in poverty, the darkness, the unsightliness, some of the things that happened to me there that were very, unpleasant. But my parents, as I say, strive to give us a better life. My brother and I both went to college. My brother has a PhD in physics. I have a master's in social work. We're the first ones in our family to have had an opportunity for college. My father didn't even graduate from high school. He had been an adopted child there in Kansas, and his family, the secrets that families have, his grandfather, there was a question as to whether he was white or was he black. He was married to a black woman. He also worked in Kansas City, in Missouri, in a job that a black man could have never had at that time. So there was a question, was he passing in order to have this job, or was he keeping people in question about whether he was white or black because he was married to a black woman, which would have been unthinkable for a white man to have done at that time. So there's all these secrets and confusions that my brother and I took off to New York. My brother still lives in New York, but I left New York after I completed my baccalaureate studies, because New York had it always felt too rushed, too crowded. I came here and put down roots. My daughter was born here, and here it feels kind of country, kind of city. Here I met my husband, and we've established a happy life here together.
He was uninitiated to the ways of urban bop and city cool, this country boy. He wore the chaos of city streets awkwardly, long way from toting water and slopping hogs. His Carolina manners stood out among urban sass. Everything was fast and loud, and city nights rivaled the brightness of city days. Long way from Carolina breezes that whisper and giggle and speak in tongues. Breezes that have a beginning and the end. But this new city world will be his dressing room. He will learn what will fit and what will not. And this first poem kind of looks at my entry into Philadelphia, coming from a small town, coming from the South, and something that I think brands me, which is always feeling like the other, always not being in your own roots, but being in somebody else's roots, and always being the one to try to adapt to other people's ways and other people's styles. And I think this is it's not just something for that time period, it's something that throughout my stay in Philadelphia has, I think, described me, that it's not my place, it's not my town, it's other people's town, and I'm adapting to it, I'm fitting in.
Hi, my name is Earl Baker, and I live in Philadelphia. Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, and I'm still growing. Went to grade school here, junior high, got out of school. I guess you could say, like my son told me, a product of my environment. and I really don't like it. I really don't like my environment. I don't like what goes on around me. I don't like being bombarded by the noise, by the music. I had a chance to go up the mountains a week or two ago, and we passed through a tunnel in the mountain, and all the radio stations changed. The frequencies were cut out. All the million-watt stations and 100,000-watt stations were no more. And it was country music, and the air was cleaner, and it was a lot more peaceful. And I looked up in the sky, unlike here, but I could look up in the sky, and it was different. I called it God's country. Now, if I can go out there and say that's God's country, I don't know what that makes this. But that's the way I feel.
There are a number of events that I identify as being significant events in my life that had a major impact on me. When I was 14 years old, I survived an attempted gang rape. They were all boys that I knew. I had grown up with them, and we were graduating from 8th grade, and we had skipped school, and we had went to one of their houses, me and a friend of mine, and we had all gotten drunk, and then they had gotten me in the parents' bedroom, and then they sexually assaulted me, and they locked the door so my friend couldn't get in. And they probably sexually assaulted me for 15 or 20 minutes. And the reason why they never actually raped me was because one of the boys, because I was screaming, and my friend was outside screaming too, and he just stopped and said, you know, what are we doing? This is wrong. And at first, I remember they were sort of like shocked that he did that. And then he went and unlocked the door, and my friend came running in and everything. And so, you know, I guess most of my parents never pressed charges, and I guess my mother always made me feel ashamed and guilty, like it was my fault. But I survived it. And as a matter of fact, none of them ever apologized to me except for the guy who actually like stopped it. He's the only one who ever apologized to me about what had happened. I guess after that, school became a major part of my life, and I went to college, and I started to learn more about being an Asian American and learned about Asian American history. So I see college as being a time when I came into consciousness. I've been involved with a performance group called Something to Say in Philadelphia, and I think besides the birth of my daughter, that's had the most positive effect on my life in recent years.
Hi, my name is Michael Morrison. I'd like to tell you a little bit, give you a bio scratch of my life story. I grew up in Philadelphia. I was born in Philadelphia in 1962. I like to consider myself as a product of the Temple experience. I grew up in North Philadelphia, around the corner from Temple University on 15th and Cecil B. Moore. My father worked at Temple as a recreation athletic director. And my mother was, she was a family woman. She had siblings, so she cared for family, kids. And I went to daycare around the corner at Temple Daycare. I was born at Temple University Hospital. I went to Ben Franklin High. I'm now attending Temple University. I was raised by my grandparents in Germantown because my mother had drug-related problems. My experience growing up with her in her drug life. And so my grandparents had to raise me in Germantown, and it was 6 of us living on Green Street. And those experiences was kind of rough for me as a young male because I had to learn the hard life of streets, hanging with gangs, staying out late at night, giving my grandmother a rough time. She had to resort to put me in a facility where I was cared by men at Northern Home for Children. Northern Home for Children was very instrumental to my life because it changed my life in a way because I had a structured environment. When I say structured environment, I was raised by a male figure, and which I didn't have in my life because my father had died when I was 13 years old. So Northern Home for Children taught me a lot of things about life, and so here I am today. I'm 39, and I'm happy to say that I'm here, healthy, and I have a brand new look on life. I have 2 beautiful children that are doing excellent in school. 1 boy, 1 girl. One name's Kai, the girl, and my son name is Darrell. Today is his birthday, by the way, and I'm kind of happy about that. I'm here at the Free Library of Philadelphia. I'm getting ready to do some studying. I have an exam on Monday. That's all I have to say, and it's nice talking to you people.
My name is Beth, and I'm 21 years old, and I've been in love twice in my life, and the second time is I'm still in love with, and his name is Pete. I live with him on 47th in Baltimore, and I still have hangovers from the first person I was in love with named Ben. But, because I guess you never really not think of those. I've been going to school for 3 years for art, but the times when I'm most happy, I guess, are the times when I'm singing, like on my bike and stuff. So I'm not sure about like art school and college and that kind of thing. I'm running out. Mostly I've just been in love twice. Maybe I should just stop.
I developed diabetes when I was 10 years old from a virus. At that time, they only had urine tests. And sometimes I would get angry because I had diabetes, and I would take the chem strips and throw them against the wall, and they would break, and my mother would have to spend money and rebuy them. At that time, insulin was only $1.69 a vial. And as years passed, they were looking for a cure for juvenile diabetes. And then they developed the chem strips, and I would test my blood. And the doctors could tell if I was taking care of my diabetes or not. And sometimes I would lie. I would sit up all night, do jumping jacks, make up blood tests, so my doctor would think I was doing okay. And then my doctor sent me to a diabetic camp. And at the diabetic camp, I learned to take insulin shots. I met kids who had diabetes, and I learned to take better care of myself. Today, I have an insulin pump, and it works like a pancreas. And I fill it up every 3 days. I go through my normal activity. I teach with kids, and sometimes I joke around about my diabetes. Sometimes I tell them that my insulin pump is a bomb, and it's going to explode any minute. Sometimes I tell them it's a tape or it's a movie camera, and they become very interested, and I let them check it out, and inside is the insulin syringe. And the syringe is connected to me, and there's a little needle in my stomach, and it injects insulin 24 hours a day. And by having insulin, I learned to manage my diabetes. I learned to talk to other people about it. I'm no longer afraid I have no side effects. I have no eye disease, no kidney ailments. And I go about my everyday activity. I play ball, I swim. I don't ride horses. I wish I could. I dance. I have a terrific boyfriend. He understands. And when he met me, he told me, don't manipulate and change anything because I like you the way you are.
You know, when I was a kid, I was just so glib about everything, and I just assumed I understood all these things when I don't think I really did. I've actually started rereading all my college textbooks, like my philosophy book. I actually took philosophy, and I got an A in the class, but you know, I've been rereading my philosophy book, and it's like I'm seeing it for the first time. I mean, I think philosophy is really an incredible thing. I mean, I used to always kind of make fun of philosophers and think that, you know, that was just sophistry, you know, some kind of pseudo-intellectualism. But now I'm really seeing that, that there is something to the subject, you know, really struggling with the basic issues of, you know, of who we are, what we're doing here. I don't know, I don't really think I have a personal life philosophy, but I just, what little I know about existential thought and the notion that we're here in this situation, that you know, like we have no real reason for being here, and we don't really know anything except the fact that we're here, and that there is no particular order or meaning in life except the meaning or order that we try to impose upon it. You know, I can relate to those basic concepts. I guess I'm at that point in my life where I find that very troublesome, the notion that we actually have some freedom and some choice in assigning a meaning to our own existences. But I'm hoping that ultimately that'll be a good thing, and that maybe I'll actually, you know, come up with some kind of real meaning for what otherwise seems to be meaningless.